Hello, my name's Natasha, and as promised, this video is following on from the free Zoom that I did earlier on this week about how phonics is not just an early years and key stage 1 thing. Maybe you missed the Zoom, maybe you couldn't make it, maybe you're brand new to my YouTube channel, The Phonics Queen. However, wherever you're here, however you found me, you're very welcome. I'm just about to share my screen with you. And whilst I do that, I will apologise for my nasally sounding voice today. I'm on day 6 of COVID. I'm okay, just sound a bit bunged up and have a little bit of a cough. So I'm going to keep sipping on the water to try and avoid any coughing fits. Okay, so phonics is not just an early years and key stage 1 thing, and I'm really passionate to get that message across to as many educators as possible. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think phonics is crucial for all educators to know about, have a deep understanding of, so that they have all of the skills and strategies in their toolkit, regardless of the age group we work with. And the reason I want to share this message is because phonics is not just about looking at the letter S and knowing it makes the sounds. It's so much more than that. And the reason phonics is crucial is because if we work with a child or a young adult, or in fact anybody of any age, and we want to have a positive impact on them, essentially the most positive impact we can have on them is making them feel like confident, well-rounded communicators. Because what makes us all human and what makes us happy individuals is being able to communicate with people and communicate with the world around us. Now, whether you feel like you're one of those people who actually would much rather stay in on a Friday night with a good book, you are still communicating because you are reading the words from somebody else and they are communicating their message with you. So it may not be a two-way dialogue that you're having, but you are still communicating because you're absorbing somebody else's message. So whether we are hoping that our communicators are able to read beautifully and have a passion for reading, or whether we want our communicators to be able to have conversations, have social interactions and talk with people around them, phonics is crucial for that because we're developing their articulation and their pronunciation skills. So it's very much a part of that. If we can't say it, we won't be able to write it or read it. So it's really important we understand that the talking element is also part of phonics. Also, the gift of being able to get the beautiful, incredible, amazing thoughts that we have in our heads down on paper, whether that be in written form, whether we're typing, whether we're texting, whatever that might be. Phonics is giving you the ability to get that beautiful, all of those beautiful, wonderful things that are going on in your head painted down onto a page, however that may be. So again, phonics is all about communication, whether it's reading, talking or writing. As well as that though, if we want people to feel happy and to be able to manage with their mental health issues or difficult times, then we need to make sure that we are enabling them to have those conversations and be able to articulate what they think, reason, talk about how they feel. So this is also showing us that phonics and all of that communication has an impact on us as people, on how we deal with mental health issues and things like that. Over the last 6 days, lost count, I think it's 6, I've been isolating from my family in the hope that the COVID stays with me and doesn't go to them. Had it not been for my book and the ability to talk to my family and friends via my phone and laptop and whatever, I'm not quite sure I would have coped as well as I have done. So honestly, that's all down to phonics. If I wasn't able to do all of these things, then I probably would have struggled a bit more than I have done. And then obviously we've got the practical elements of looking for a job, functioning in the world as an adult. So phonics is absolutely crucial. And I'm going to explain why it's not just there for early years and key stage 1 teachers to know about. But before I do that, I want to talk about why we teach in the first place. Now, in all of my training, I always point out the fact that when I talk about teachers, I'm not just talking about the class teacher. I genuinely believe that if we work in an educational setting, whether that be with 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 25-year-olds, we are all teachers. If we interact with a learner in any capacity whatsoever, the way we interact with them, the conversations we have, they all impact on them, and therefore we have the potential to teach them something. So let's face it, don't really think many of us went into teaching for the money, because it's not enough given the amount of hours and workload we have. Really what we went into teaching for is for the love and the passion. And I know that sounds cheesy and twee, but it is a vocation. And if we can impact on the people we interact with, whatever their age, and they leave our setting loving words, loving reading, loving writing, and loving communicating, then that makes our job worthwhile. So just remember, when I talk about teachers, I'm talking about every single adult who interacts with the learners in your setting. LSAs, one-to-ones, caretakers, secretaries, lunchtime supervisors, absolutely everybody. So in the reading guidance, it mentions how we need to build a team of expert teachers who know and understand the processes that underpin learning to read, and draw on expert training, practice and coaching to achieve this. So it's really important here that we understand that in our schools, we are all needing to be experts in the teaching of early reading. And if not, you need to think about how you can develop the expertise in your school, bring in training, train them yourselves, however you decide to do that, but make it a priority. And the reason we need to make that a priority, and the reason we need to think about how phonics is not just for Key Stage 1 or early years, is because the early readers can be any age. It's wrong to assume that early readers are 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, because actually an early reader is just somebody who is at the beginning of their learning to read journey. Those people could be 14, 18, 25, 51. There was a documentary maybe a month ago, Jay Blades, Learning to Read at 51. And it was fascinating to watch. And he was somebody who's had a very successful career, been his TV presenting, managed to hide it for many years. But the thing that drove him to eventually learn to read is he felt like he'd missed out on lots of things, being able to read a bedtime story to his children and so on. So actually, it's really fundamental that we get rid of the notion that early readers are 3 or 4 or 5, because that is simply not true. An early reader is anybody of any age who is at the early stages of learning to read. So therefore, it makes sense that if an early reader can be any age, then the teachers of all people need to know how to teach an early reader to read. Okay, so why do all teachers need to be expert? Well, it's not just about the fact that any early reader can be any age, because yes, there may be some people who go through their whole career and never see a person who is unable to read in their setting. Highly unlikely, but possible. Nothing's impossible. But actually, that's not the only reason I feel we all need to be experts. Another reason is that I think that the best teachers are those who know what comes before any element that they are teaching. And the reason I think this makes people the best teachers is because building on prior knowledge means that learners go, oh, I knew that already, and now I know that. So that's why that happens. And making those links and making those connections means that your learning experience deepens, and you are more likely to remember and retain it and recall it because it means something to you. So if, for example, you're a year 3 teacher and you are teaching some element of your spelling curriculum and you are unaware of the Key Stage 1 phonics that has gone beforehand, you are doing a little bit of a disservice to those children, because when they start to notice and connect things, you're not necessarily going to be able to support those children in the same way you would be able to if you were fully aware of the Key Stage 1 phonics curriculum. So it's really important as teachers that we know what comes before, so that we can support children to build on prior learning, that we can support children in connecting those ideas and spotting those links, because they are all absolutely linked and intertwined. And it also rewards the vast amount of effort that those amazing 4, 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds have put in order to master and develop all of that phonics knowledge, because they know an awful lot. So, for example, if those children are in year 3 and you're teaching them something and they say, we did this last year, I remember this, and you say, great, you did, and you did it like this, and I know all about what you did. You're rewarding their effort to not just all the hard work to get there in the first place, but you're rewarding their effort of recalling and making those links. So it's really important we remember that if we want children to truly master and love words and love reading and love communicating and love vocabulary, that we extend and deepen their understanding and knowledge by building on what's gone before it, not ignoring it. So when a child comes into Key Stage 2 from year 2, their first day of year 3, I've heard teachers say things like, what did they do in Key Stage 1? Because they don't know this. But equally, I've heard reception class teachers say, well, what did they do in nursery? Because they don't know how to do this. And then I've also heard year 7 teachers say, what do they do in primary anyway? Because they come to us and they can't do anything. And it seems when the child crosses over a transition, whether it's nursery to reception, year 2 to year 3, year 6 to year 7, that the professionals in that new phase start to question what came before, largely because they're unaware of the curriculum that comes before. So if we're experts in what comes before and we have that deep understanding, I think we're less likely to question what comes before and instead build upon it. So remember, when those children come into year 3 from year 2 in September, they are not coming in as a blank canvas. They have had lots of experiences. They've been exposed to a wide range of language, a plethora of vocabulary, loads and loads of different books, a wonderful early years experience, a fantastic Key Stage 1 experience, and quality phonics teaching. Now, whilst the children will have had all of the exposure to lots of different things like that, every child will have absorbed it in different ways. Every child is different, every child is unique, but they will have all started to apply this to their own beautiful canvas that they are starting to nurture and develop in their own way. So we need to remember that all children are unique. All of those children come to us in different ways, and we need to take where they are at forward. Okay, so teaching phonics needs to have a whole school approach. And fundamentally, the very, very basics of phonics is that we are teaching children their GPCs. Now, I never assume that people know what these things mean, so I'm just going to very quickly explain. GPC stands for grapheme and phoneme correspondence. So how a grapheme and a phoneme correspond to each other. So first of all, the word phoneme has got nothing to do with what you see at all. It's got nothing to do with letters at all. A phoneme is all about what you hear and the smallest units of sound within a word. So for example, sh, op has got 3 phonemes. It's got nothing to do with the fact that it's an SH, an O and a P, nothing at all. The phonemes are all about the sh that you can hear, the O and the P, okay? Then we've got graphemes, and it's the graphemes that are the visual representation of the phonemes that you hear. So it's the graphemes that are the letters. That's what they are. And there are different types of graphemes, like a graph, a digraph, a trigraph, a split digraph, or digraph, if you're posh, unlike me. And so GPCs is all about how the things you hear and the letters we write, the graphemes, correspond with each other. Okay, so that's very simply what phonics in essence is about. However, as I've said, it's so much more than that. Now, most teachers, most educators are familiar with the early stages of phonics in terms of looking at the letter A and knowing it makes the sound A, looking at the letter S and knowing it can make the sound S, and so on. Okay, so most teachers are familiar with that. But phonics then goes on much further. And this is the bit that I feel Key Stage 2, 3, 4 staff really need to deepen their understanding of, gain access to training for, and all of that sort of thing. So it goes on to alternative spellings for the phonemes that we hear. So for example, the letter J is first introduced as making the sound J, okay? But we also have the letter G that can also make the sound J in words like giant and gentle, and it's gone out of my head. Why can't I think of another J word? Giant, gentle. Do you know what? I'm going to challenge you to put the words underneath because my mind has just gone blank. I'm blaming COVID. There are loads anyway. And then we've got, for example, the digraph sh as in shark, the SH, could also be spelt as sh as in chef or as in machine and things like that, okay? We've then got here the digraph A, AI as in snail, but that could also be spelled as A as in play, A as in baby, A as in grey, A as in 8, and it just goes on and on and on, okay? So alternative spellings are what children start to learn either in reception or year 1, depending on your progression. But definitely year 1, they will start to learn that. And by the end of year 2, they know it inside out. So you don't want to lose that knowledge because it's really good knowledge. And it's also how you can teach spelling later on. So you need to make sure you get your head around that. Then we teach about alternative pronunciations. So that, for example, is where we look at this grapheme, the letter A, and at first the children are taught that it can make the sound A, but it could also make the sound R as in father. It could also make the sound A as in baby. And if we look at the letter C, that could be K as in cat, but it could also be S as in city. So when we think about phonics, we need to get away from the notion that this is always an A and this is always a K, because we have in the English language 44 phonemes, so 44 different sounds, but some of those phonemes have as many as 12 different ways to spell them. And then some of the graphemes, like the letter A, have so many different ways that you can pronounce them, like A or R or A or O as in swan. So it's really important that you change your mindset of thinking about those early stages of phonics and think, actually, there's a whole wealth of information that I need to get my head around here so that I not only can support those early readers that I might be dealing with, but also can build upon that knowledge when I'm teaching spelling. So it's really important that you access training to develop that, because spelling and phonics beyond Key Stage 2 need not be the Key Stage 2 practitioners reinventing the wheel. It should be building upon the foundations that are already there. So regardless of the phonics SSP, children will or should know that there are 44 phonemes in the English language. They will know the most common ways to spell those phonemes, plus there are many different ways to spell the 44 phonemes. They will know how to form the various graphemes and the order that they go in. They will know different ways to pronounce the graphemes. And what you need to do to build on this is develop your expertise. So I have been delivering training for lots of schools, Key Stage 2 staff, secondary schools, So if you are interested in me delivering training for you, then you can email me, thephonicsqueen@gmail.com, and I'm more than happy to get into a conversation about what I can offer you. I do still teach 2 days a week, so it's a Wednesday and a Thursday I'm available for training. So you can drop me an email if you are interested in that. Okay, so English language with lots of different spelling choices. As I said, there are 4 to 4 phonemes, but some of them have as many as 12 different ways to spell them. So if we look at this OR box here, we've got OR as in fork at the top, then we've got OR as in saw, we've got OR as in sauce, we've got OR as in court, we've got OR as in door, we've got OR as in core, and we've got OR as in talk. So we have got a lot of different ways to spell the phoneme OR, and I can guarantee you, if quality phonics is taught well in your Key Stage 1 setting, the majority of children will look at that and they will know all of that information. So why would you want to lose that information in Key Stage 2? Why would you want to lose that knowledge? It would be utterly bonkers and quite a waste of Key Stage 1's time, children I'm talking about. So we need to make sure we build upon it. So the consistency of your phonics teaching across your school is what is going to make sure that the children succeed. The teaching expertise has to be your main focus to start off with, because without that, everything else is pointless. You could go and buy the best, most expensive resources or scheme, but if your teacher knowledge, understanding, and dare I say it, passion isn't there, the children won't do as well as they can. So when you access training, you need to make sure that the training is so inspiring that everybody leaves there thinking, oh, I really, really can't wait to get this right for my children. You need to make sure that the language you use as a staff is good and consistent, and everybody's got that in their toolkit. The resources you use are throughout your school consistent, you show fidelity to those, and that the strategies and your methods that you use with early readers are absolutely there for you to draw on whenever you need it. So accessing training for all of those things is absolutely crucial. Okay, so the Spelling National Curriculum and phonics can be linked. We can draw upon that, because actually, if you understand about Key Stage 1 phonics and then you read the Spelling National Curriculum for Key Stage 2, there's so much that we've already covered in there, absolutely loads. And most of it you can then just build upon. So we need to make sure that quality teaching of spelling is the perfect marriage of knowing what goes before the element you're teaching, so that you can build upon that prior learning, so that children can make links, make those connections, and make sure that they deepen their knowledge and understanding. It should be about making sure that you really love words, that you love looking at new vocabulary, and you draw in that exploration of new vocabulary, but when you are looking at new words, thinking about how they're made up phonetically and all of that information, and then study of words in terms of etymology, morphology, lexical meaning of words. If you tie all of that together, then you will have an amazing spelling curriculum in Key Stage 2. So just to reiterate my final points before I stop. Oh, let me take a sip. Just to finish, why is phonics important in Key Stage 2, 3, 4, whoever you work with? Well, it's about nurturing those crucial skills. The reason we went into teaching in the first place, so that we have a positive impact on these children and that they go out into the big wide world as confident, independent, excited, happy individuals who can communicate in all its forms. It's about supporting early readers, whatever their age, because they're not always 4. Early readers can be any age, and my goodness, it is so rewarding when you finally give the gift of reading to somebody who's struggled. So we need to make sure we really understand and really develop our skills purely for that alone, if nothing else. And then teaching of spelling. It's really, really beneficial to build upon that prior knowledge in Key Stage 1 to make your spelling national curriculum, the delivery of that curriculum worthwhile, to make it meaningful and to make sure you're not wasting all the work that went before it. As I say, I do deliver training. I've delivered lots of training for Key Stage 2 staff to help Key Stage 2 staff understand their phonics, to give them strategies on developing early readers, to give them strategies on developing a spelling scheme for their school based on phonics that goes before it. So if you are interested in training, then please email me, thephonicsqueen@gmail.com. And as I say, please help me spread the word, and hopefully you all have a wonderful Easter holiday whenever it comes. You all avoid the Rona, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support as always. Bye.